For years, Dr. Uzoma and Ugochukwu worked with the World Health Organization, contributing to the sustenance of global healthcare, and at the same time acquiring capacity for leadership. At the onset of the current dispensation, he aspired to run for the Mbise Ugochukwu Federal Constituency in Imo State, southeast of Nigeria. However, it all went wrong at the primaries when the organizers decided to move the venue away from the constituency in contravention of party guidelines. He joins us now to share that experience as we interrogate the impact of all of these on Nigeria's leadership selection process. Good morning, Doctor. Good to have you join us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Dr.
Good morning,
Ugochukwu.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about... Good morning. Good morning. On a general note, let's talk about internal democracy in our political system. But of course, let's peg that with what happened to you during the primaries when you sought to be the candidate of your party, PDP, in Imo State for the House of Representatives for the Mbise Ugochukwu Federal Constituency. I know that you went to court, the case has been dismissed, and then you are insisting that you will still appeal and challenge that decision. What really is the issue? Why are you vehement about seeking justice? Were you robbed, or you think that the party basically took a decision that did not favor you?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for this opportunity. Yes, I think I'll start from your first question in terms of the internal democracy in the party. I think it would be good to point out that our political system is still in disarray. Yeah, because what I've noticed with my sojourn is that this system operates like a cartel, a group of persons coming together, and then a few others standing aside to decide whatever happens, even when it is contrary to the will or the wishes of other members of the party. And then when that happens, they want it to stand. And so that has been the key problem we're having. And I noticed this from the beginning. When I joined the race, it was clear. But of course, if you're there, you have no option than to you keep playing, studying what's happening, and then trying to see if you can find a way to get through. But at the end of the day, this is where we are. They moved the primaries from the federal constituency to a place that is not the federal constituency. Lumped everything together, and that gave room for manipulation. And that's why I think there's need for us to seek redress. There's need for us to actually get justice so that these persons who come together and act as, how do I put it, as if they own the institution completely without taking into cognizance the fact that there should be a process, would understand that, look, it shouldn't be this way. And then, of course, this is not the usual game. For me, I always stand for justice. And I'll always take it to the last point until it is served. Because if it doesn't happen that way, people will think that, okay, fine, we'll do these things and we'll get away with it. We'll do it, we'll get away with it, and then nothing happens. And then that impunity would continue.
All right, Dr. Ugochukwu. Well, let's still stay on the topic of internal democracy. In light of the political season we are in right now, what would you say, based on your experience and what you've just narrated to us, is responsible, or would you say you would consider responsible for the ease with which the malpractice that you alleging happened, with the ease with which that happens, what would you say is responsible for that in Nigeria's entire political system?
Yeah, thank you. I think the key thing is party leaders or persons that ascribe to themselves as party leaders want to control the whole system. It starts from the grassroots. It starts from even where you want to elect or people that would govern the party from the ward level. They go ahead to pick people that are not even qualified to become ward officers. They go ahead to select Most times, elections are not conducted at the ward level. And then these people, they press on them to determine what will happen tomorrow. So when they come into the system, we say, okay, this is the person I want. And then when the elections come in, they call those people that they have selected as ward leaders to stand in. And then those people will listen to them. When it comes to selection of delegates, selection in quotes, because it's supposed to be election, these delegates are also selected. And when you select these delegates, they are the ones that will call the delegates and say, look, you do this, you do that. So there's really no internal democracy, because if there's internal democracy, then you would open up elections for delegates. And then delegates who want to vie will come in and say, okay, yes, I'm going to run for this position. I'm going to be a delegate. And then when they come in, they determine by themselves who they want to pick, who they think is the most qualified candidate to run for the office. But this never happens.
Okay, so in this instance, what's your specific prayer to the court? Is it that you are excluded because you allege, of course, that the primary was taken outside of the constituency, which was against the Electoral Act, and it was against the PDP constitution? Did you participate and lost, or were you excluded? And secondly, normally INEC would be part of a party primary. Didn't INEC certify this particular primary election that held in Imo State at that time? And if so, are you saying that INEC is also complicit in denying you, as you have stated, the opportunity to truly participate and possibly win for that slot?
Thank you very much. Starting with INEC, I wouldn't say INEC is complicit, because it's also stated in the Electoral Act. For INEC, what they are supposed to do is to monitor. They are not supposed to take part in the primary. They're not supposed to do anything other than the party invites INEC to come sit and watch and see if the process did go well. And that's all. So in terms of whether the venue is the proper venue, INEC has no right to determine what the party wants to do, yes. But the truth is, in this instance, first of all, the party decided to move an election that is supposed to hold in Abombise or in Ngobala to Owerri Municipal. That is the first violation. I can read from the party constitution what it says. I have the party constitution with me here, and even the Electoral Act. It clearly states, section 50, subsection 2, D. It clearly states here, in the conduct of primaries for the party's candidates for the post of the member of House of Representatives, the primaries shall be held at the constituency headquarters. Let us also go to the Electoral Act. Section 84, subsection 5C I, it states clearly here, 5C, in the case of the nomination of the position of a senatorial candidate, a member of House of Representatives, or a member of the State Assembly, the political party shall, where it intends to sponsor a candidate, hold special congresses in the senatorial district, federal constituency, State Assembly constituency, respectively, with delegates voting for aspirants of their choice in the designated centers or specified dates. So, if you decide to contravene or violate the Electoral Act or the party constitution, then of course, the whole election is null and void. Because the truth about it is that the rule of law must start from the party itself. So you don't put down the constitution and then you decide to do something different. Yes, the party gave a reason that there are, what's it called now? Security challenges. But the truth about it is that the ward congresses were held in various wards. They could have also moved the ward congresses to other places. And then, again, how do we ascertain that there are security challenges? Who gave the reports? And at the same time, there was no discussion. Nobody was even informed to say, okay, this is what is going to happen.
But
It's unfortunate that these things happen this way.
Did you participate or were you excluded?
No, I participated. I participated because it is only when you participate that you can or you do have a right to challenge whatever the outcome is if it goes contrary to what you think it should be. But if you decide to exclude yourself, then it becomes a problem. That you would be completely excluded. You didn't participate in the election, so why jump in and say, okay, they've violated the Electoral Act or they've violated the party constitution?
All right. In the interest of detail, could you bring us up to speed on the specific steps you've taken so far in this entire process to address your specific grievances? And should this all end in futility, how do you intend to proceed? And most importantly, what do you imagine you will do in the future? Will you contest again?
Yes, I'll start from the last one. For us, for me as a Nigerian, I think it's time that persons who think that, yes, they have something to offer, to come up and challenge the status quo. The truth about it is, when we all allow the system to go this way and then certain persons will continue to dominate the system, and then we'll continue to get it wrong. That's the truth. Yes, it might be quite difficult given the terrain and what is involved, but it takes a large heart to be able to jump in and say, yes, we have a country, we have a society that we must work hard to get things right. And then for me, that is what it is. There's no giving up because it's posterity. You decide that, yes, you have things going for you the way it should, but it's your country. If things go wrong, you have no any other country. We're running nowhere. We'll remain here. If you think you're okay, you want to leave the country or no, you have everything going well for you, then fine. You have friends, you have relatives, you have people around you that you love. So whatever affects them, directly or indirectly, will affect you. Just as it is affecting, and things are actually crunchy for most Nigerians now. So one way or the other, it will affect you. So the best thing to do is you find a way to get in and see the little you can put to make sure that we improve on the system. So for me, I will always run to make sure that, look, that thing that we're looking at, that change, that positive change for this country, or for my constituency in particular, will drive it home and we'll make sure we'll get it. As regards the process, from the beginning, we all started a process from Abombise. Suffice to say, I would want to even point out a little thing that happened. In Abombise, something happened. There were 8 contestants. And then, of course, the local government party leaders felt that, okay, 8 of you cannot run. Why don't we do what they called then a mock primaries, even though it's not constitutional? They said, no, we should pick one candidate that will contest against the other candidate who is incumbent from the other local government, because they felt that it's time for someone from Abombise to pick the ticket and go and represent Abombise and Ngobala. The incumbent is from Ngobala. He's been there for 8 years. And Abombise leaders felt, okay, no, it should be this way. And they put us through a process. They called it mock primaries to select one candidate. And we agreed. Everybody agreed. We had a series of meetings to determine how this process should go. And that also borders on integrity. And then when all this happened, fortunately, or unfortunately, if I put it that way, I actually emerged as a preferred candidate for the constituency, for Abombise. after the mock primaries. So I was supposed to be the only one to run for these primaries with the other candidate. But of course, because it's not constitutional, and I wasn't the preferred candidate of so-called leaders, because I believe strongly that they already have. Even before then, we could see it. But the people looked at it and said, look, we think this is a better candidate. And they picked me. And then they decided to turn it around and then gave room for the other candidate to still run. And of course, they went ahead to run the election, and they moved it from the constituency in less than 24 hours. I still have the notice on my phone. There was no written letter to inform us that this is the venue. It was supposed to be in Abombise. And in less than 24 hours, they just sent on WhatsApp that the venue is now in Owerri Municipal, a particular location called Aladima Mall. And some of us protested, but it was too short. We protested orally. We called and said, why would you do this? First of all, it violates the Electoral Act. It violates the party constitution. Why would you do this? But of course, I'm sure they had other things planned out. And then they lumped these whole primaries in one location for the whole state. It was chaotic, and it gave room for a lot of manipulation. I want to point out, on that same election, the candidate for Ahiazu Mbise State constituency, the election that was conducted was open, and he looked at it. You could see names, of course, for the House of Assembly. They were given pieces of papers to write out names, and names were written. And for him, 15 of the ballots was the same handwriting. Same handwriting, 15 ballots. Of course, the committee annulled that election. There was a record. It's really very funny. The election was annulled. But of course, they still did what they wanted to do to get the candidates they wanted.
So you see a deliberate sabotage and manipulation in the entire situation?
It is, yes.
Why do you suppose that you were targeted or you were a target? I think we need to get to that.
Frankly speaking, I wouldn't know. But I know that the things there is that people that ascribe leadership of the party to themselves probably want people that are subservient, people that they can pull by the tail, people that can say, sit down here, then they'll sit down there. You know, possibly that might be the reason. Maybe, maybe not. I wouldn't know the reason. So, but the thing is, they feel that, I mean, it's given. You'd have to sit and they call you and they say, okay, look, we're going to make you the House of Rep member for this constituency. And you say, yes, sir. And that's it. That's the kind of mentality we see within the parties.
Okay, Dr. Ugochukwu, when you saw that things were not going your way, and I'm talking about before the actual primary election, yes, you were the favored candidate as per the arranged consensus arrangement that you said that you had before the primaries. Did it occur to you at any point to pull out and possibly leave the party like Peter Obi did when he saw that he was not going to make any headway within the PDP and he left for Labour Party? Did that occur to you at any point at all? And then secondly, Abi alluded to that earlier. If you see this through to a logical conclusion and you still do not get that mandate, will you at that point congratulate the winner? What's his name again? Chibuzo Agulano. Will you eventually congratulate him as the elected candidate of your party for this election?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would say that Chibuzo Agulana, yeah, he's a friend. I don't have anything against him. I'm not fighting him. But it's the system, the process through which he emerged That's the problem. And that's what we seek to address, so that things like this don't happen tomorrow. Congratulating him is a different matter altogether, because in the first instance, in the consensus arrangement, which went to voting, because we actually voted, delegates voted in that Abombise, delegates from Abombise, I actually defeated him. I won him in that election before the main primaries. But because, I guess, he is the candidate that they preferred, they found a way to throw him in. Of course, if everything goes and then I get to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says, no, he still stands, what options do we have? The truth about it is that the court has the final say. And then if the Supreme Court or if the appeal court says that the violation of the Electoral Act and the violation of the party constitution stands, then it's okay. It becomes a record for other judgments in the future. But I point out truly because there has been a lot of judgment in that line. One, through my little research, Mato versus Hembe, I think it's somewhere in Benue State. The Supreme Court decision was clear because the election, the primary election, was moved from their constituency to, I think, Makurdi. And it was null and void because everything that goes contrary to the Electoral Act or contrary to the party constitution remains null and void. And therefore, that election should be annulled. That's my prayer. And then we'll probably do a fresh primaries if the courts will permit. But I think the key thing for me is to point out that, look, parties should and must stop violating the Electoral Act, violating the party constitution, going in to do certain things with impunity, without caring who is left or who is right, or who is affected. Because if they don't stop it, then how then are we going to say that, yes, our democracy is growing? If we don't get things right within the party, then even the general election itself will continue to be at stake. Because the truth is, the parties will continue to throw up wrong candidates. They continue to throw up candidates that are probably not even qualified because they are selected and they're not even elected. If they're elected, it's a different ballgame altogether. So if it gets to that level, then fine. We'll take it that the court has spoken. But of course, before then, every possible channel for us to seek redress, we must follow through.
All right,
so you never considered leaving the party when all this was going on?
When all this was going on, I continued to dialogue, discuss with the party leaders that this is not right. And then more or less, the whole thing they did up until the last minute was quite sudden. I could have decided to pull out from the party, but I said no. For you to be able to seek redress, you will have to be a member of the party. Assuming I decided to pull out of the party, Nigerians will not know what is happening within these parties. What we're discussing now probably won't come up. And most times that's what the party leaders want. A situation whereby they do whatever they want to do and then you chicken out. And once you chicken out, it's a closed case. Nobody talks about it. They've achieved what they want to achieve. And when they get lucky and the candidate wins, they go around jubilating. But this time around, I tell them no. For me, I would seek redress. It doesn't matter where it's going to get to. If we get to the appeal, and the appeal says no, we'll get to the Supreme Court. If they look at it and they say, yes, it is okay to violate the Electoral Act, to violate the party constitution in the primary election, then fine. And then we'll know that, okay, we've done what we're supposed to do as both party members, as Nigerians, trying to make sure that a system that grows with impunity is checkmated. We would have done our bit, and then we can stand aside and decide what next to do.
All right, Dr. Ugochukwu, we want to thank you for joining us this morning and, of course, sharing your accounts on this particular issue. It's our hope that, of course, the justice is meted out as, of course, required and in due course. Many thanks.